The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Um, what we're going to be doing is ProjectSight consists of several modules to help manage your projects from start to finish. And today we're going to be focusing on our budget and cost module. Each Wednesday we're going to be covering a we're going to be covering a different module in a 15-minute demo. I already put the link to our next series, which will be next Wednesday. And my name is Anthony Severa, and I manage our relationships in the U.S. Northeast. And joining me is Jimmy, one of our senior solutions engineers. And we'll be your host today. We encourage everyone to ask questions. So please feel free to type your questions into the comment box, and we'll try to answer them along the way. If we're not able to get to your question, we'll try to follow up with you individually. With that being said, let's jump in.
Okay, thanks, Anthony. So we're going to start here today. We're going to talk about budget and cost. So I just wanted to start at a project homepage so you guys can see what ProjectSight looks like at the project level. And then on the left-hand side are the various modules. We've done some presentations already on drawings and document control. We got field management coming up, but we're going to focus on budget and cost. So let me click onto that, and that will lead us into our different record types that make up the budget and cost piece. And that consists of the budget and commitments. So we're going to talk about the high-level budget view, contracts, cost forecasts, and purchase orders. We have a change management area, which is made up of these different types of records, from potential change orders, subcontract, prime, and then change order request. And then we have our payments area, which is our invoices, expenses, and apps to payment. So when we initially start a project, we want to go ahead and establish that budget. And there's multiple ways to do that within ProjectSight. We do have the ability to build out that budget directly in ProjectSight by line item by line item. Now that might be take a little bit of time. So we of course have an import-export option that allows you to import a budget from an existing system. And the third option is to integrate directly with our APIs through a integration to push and pull various pieces of data at different times, depending on different triggers with ProjectSight and an ERP. So there's multiple options there. Now, the way you establish your budget is based upon different budget codes. So if we want to mimic an outside system like an ERP, we want to go ahead and include our different budget codes in whatever format we would like. And we can do up to 9 different drop-down menus here to build that out. As you can see, we have 4 within this demo site. And then each item comes in with a description as well as an original budget and then a status. So if it's in a pending status, then I can go ahead and manage that until I want to lock it in there as a locked budget item, and then go ahead and work with it in the tool. A couple other things at the top here, I can group and organize this view. So this is our view for the project management team to take a look at the details here on what's going on with the project. This is more of a high-level view. If I click into the budget codes, which I'll do in a minute, it kind of dives in a little bit deeper into what makes up these numbers that you see here on the screen. So I can go ahead and group this by whatever I would like from phase to category to give me a little bit more insight. I can also filter down into, in this case, just looking for concrete type codes. And each time I filter, you'll see my updated numbers at the top. Now, I want to walk through this just to kind of set the stage here from where we're going to go from here, which is into the contracts and the change management. So we're going to look at row number 9, which is site concrete subcontract, because it has some good numbers in here. And what I want to talk about first is, what's established at the beginning. So that's your original budget. Now, throughout the process of managing the project, you're going to go through different changes on the budget side. The changes that you see here are approved changes. It's the second column. And so these 2 columns together make up our current budget that we see here at 825. Now within the system, change orders can be placed in a couple different statuses. One is pending and one is approximate, right? Depending on the workflow and how you work your change orders, Approximate might be, it's a new change, you're trying to establish what the cost is, so you want to throw in some numbers there just to get an idea. The pending revision would be you've established your dollars, you're sent that off to a change order request, and now you're waiting for approval to go ahead and mark that as approved. Now all of that's done within our change management system, and as that change order gets created, worked on, approved, those dollars automatically move from column to column. Now, your next column is your projected budget, and that's going to be your current budget plus any pending and approximate. So really everything on the left-hand side here makes up your projected budget. Now that's very similar when you get to the commitment side, so I'll scroll on over here. When we're talking about the commitments, we have 801K as the commitment value of this budget item, and that is the total of the schedule of values in the contract. Right. Also on the budget, on the contract side, you have change management. So similarly, like we had on the budget side, we have approved changes, right, making up our total committed cost, as well as our pending and approximate changes compiled together give us our projected cost. Further down the line here, we have our actuals. Now these can either be captured within ProjectSight or they can be pushed in from an outside system, and that's going to give us more of a current over-under, our projected over-under, and we can capture that in a number of different ways. Now this view here is configurable, so I can work with the columns here, remove some, change the order, right? I can also open it up and see what else I can add to these columns, right? And if I need to add a brand new column, I can also do that as well. Okay, so if I want to see the details in here and dig a little deeper in this code, I'll click on my budget code, and that will open up this window here. And you'll notice at the top is very similar. It's the same columns you saw before, they're just color coded now. And we have budget in purple, commitments in yellow, and then the actuals over here in green. And then on the left-hand side, we have the various transactions against this code. So we have our original budget, we have our budget transfer, so we can actually transfer dollars from budget code to budget code in ProjectSight. We have our contract, so we can take a look at that here in a second, and that hits our original commitment side. Then as we look down the line here, we have different potential change orders, right? Some of them are pending state, some of them are an approved state. They're all hyperlinks, so I can click through here and get to any of these potential change orders. Then I can see I have contract invoices in here as well, which are hitting that actual side. So let's take a look at the contract. So we'll go ahead in here and we're looking at subcontract for Irish Concrete. And we have some details here on the right-hand side. So this is a subcontract. We have multiple different types of contracts you can create in the system. This one is approved, right? We've been working on it already. We have some general information. We of course have our comments tab that you may have seen before, but that allows for communication around different records. So as this is being created before it's approved, there might be some conversations happening. We want to be able to track all of that at the contract level. The next column is our amounts tab, right, which shows all of our schedule of values. Kind of scroll across here so you can see. And as we start billing against them, we can see the balance left, the invoice numbers in here. Further down the line here, we have our details from a high level from the contract side. Any clarifications. And then we also have a change order tab, right? So from the contract side, I can view any of the approved changes at the top or any of the current pending or approximate changes down below. And this is one way to navigate to change orders, right? So you go from that high level budget, you get down into the code, you can go into the contract, you can view those change orders at the contract level. And then from here, I can actually go into those change orders by clicking this little arrow. Right? That's going to link me over to those different records. Okay, I also have my link icon that you've maybe have seen before, but this shows you what records are linked to this contract. So let's go back now and we'll go back to our budget screen. And now we'll look at our change orders. So we have a number of them in here. We'll go ahead and look at these approved ones. 25,000. So this is a single change order. We have a log of change orders that shows you all the change orders in the system, but from the navigation that I went through, I just got directly to that off of that budget code. All right, so I'm gonna go back and walk through this fully here in a second. Oh, and the last thing here is our invoices as well. Okay. So let's talk through that change management process. This is probably what usage we get the most out of our project management team as they're working on the projects. They want to be able to track those. We want to provide them with an easy way to do that. So we have these different record types. Everything starts at a potential change order. Right from there, they can be grouped together to be sent off as a change order request as necessary. Once that request is approved, if we need to group them together into a subcontract change order, we can do that, or we can group them in a prom contract change if necessary. So let's go into our change management here, change orders. And I can filter and sort based upon what I want to look at, right? Here's all the log of all the changes and the ability to view the data that I want on the screen here. And I'll pull in all those columns that I like to see. So I get a high level view, and then I can save any view that I would like. So that I can see, for example, an allowances log, contingency log, and then here's where we're looking at what I did change, but it's the open potential change orders. Okay. Now, anytime you want to create one, you just click your plus icon up here. But we're going to go ahead in here to this change order. And so now that we're in the change order, we've got our right-hand column here that shows us the details of this change order. As you can see, this one is approved. I'll go ahead and unlock it here so we can look at the details. But it's approved for budget. We have our due dates, created date, we have our importance level, our reason, we have an assignment out to James. And on the left-hand side, we have our notes about what the details are of this potential change order and the individual items that were included in this change, as well as our markups that we've included. So we have default markups that are configured, and you can add those out into, in this case, your potential change order. Now, anytime I want to add a new change order, you'll see a pop-up window come up, very similar to what you saw before. And this will allow us to input our different costs from our estimate to our proposed to our approved. We can set an allocation, right? If it's already approved, we can mark it as approved as we go. If it's an approximate, that's probably what we want to start with. We go ahead and link it to a budget code as well as a contract as necessary. All right, and as I put a contract in here, you'll see this become assigned to a company at this point, Irish Concrete. Now, consider each individual line item in the change its own record. So at this point, if I need an estimate from a subcontractor, right, I've got the ability to send this out to a subcontractor. He has certain administrative rights attached to his security role that allows him to do things. This would be one of those that he could do to be able to go in here and add in his estimate, right? His contract, whatever he wants to do, he can go ahead and add that in. So you can assign that out to him individually. He'll get that notification. He can reply to that email with a contract estimate, or if he's a user, he can go in here and manage that process inside ProjectSight. But he can make his comments, and we can work through this specific line item. Once we are done, we can go ahead and set that at the stage that we want, which would maybe be submitted. And then now at this point, we want to compile some of these together into a change order request. So that process is fairly straightforward. I'll go to my change order request piece. We'll just take a look at one as an example. And I pulled in the potential change order for wrong size steel. If I have multiple change orders that I want to add for this single change order request, want to do it in bulk, we can go ahead and add additional change orders. Okay. Now I'll send that off once I get the approval. Then I can go ahead now and approve those change orders, or I can group them and send them off in a subcontract level. So here's a quick example of steel beams. And I have 2 change orders in here for this contractor that I can then track and manage that process. So now once those changes are approved, that's when they'll go ahead and update our budget, right? They'll land in our contracts module for visibility, and that's the change management process. Oh, the prime contract as well, right? Same thing as the subcontractor, just changing that prime contract. So there's a similar process there. And then at the bottom here, we have our payments where we can capture contract invoices, expenses, and our apps to payment to get paid by the owner. Okay. So Anthony, that's are we at 15 minutes right now?
Yep, right at 15 minutes. Good job.
Okay. Yep, we could do probably another 2 hours of this. It's you know, get down into the weeds. So you know, reach out to us if you have questions and if you want to learn a little bit more. And I'll hand it back over to Anthony to wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jimmy. So thank you everybody again for joining us today. We'll see you next Wednesday when we do a demo of our field management module. We're going to explore with the field management module how to establish direct lines of communication with the field, ensure that everyone is working safely, and building off the most current information available and updating the team on what's actually happening on the site. I went ahead and I've already put in the link for you to register for next Wednesday, and you can also view previous modules that we've demoed over the past couple of weeks. And thank you everybody for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you.